All right, lesson 3, a gallery of data. Our aim today is going to be, let's interpret data oh, I broke the pencil. Okay, let's interpret data distributions in real world situations. Okay, so 3.1, notice and wonder dot plots. The dot plot represents the distribution of the amount of tips and dollars left at 2 different restaurants on the same night. What do you notice? What do you wonder? So take a look at those 2 graphs, or 2 dot plots, I should say. Say 2 things you notice and 2 things you wonder. Okay. So I want to take a little time in this first activity to go over something that they haven't gone over in this curriculum, but they sort of expect you to remember how to do it from middle school. But you know, who knows if you remember how to do that. So one thing that we didn't talk about in lesson 2 was how to calculate the mean. Right, and the mean just means the average value of a set of numbers. All right, what would that typically be if I were to look at the entire numbers as a whole, you know, and sort of maybe almost pick one out at random and keep doing that? What would the typical value be? What would you get on average? Okay. Average is calculated in a lot of sports. If you think about basketball, if you count a miss as a 0 and 1 as a make, your shooting percentage is sort of the average amount of times that you make the shot. So someone who shoots above 50% is making it more than half the time. So I'm going to show you how to calculate average in case you forgot. So the way average is calculated is a fraction. So it's going to be the sum of all numbers divided by, and this is sort of a weird way of saying it, the number of numbers. So we'll see what I mean by that in a second. Or I can just show you right now. So when I look at this dot plot, every single one of these dots represents a data point. So if I count them all, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I got 18 points. So when I calculate my average, 18 is going to be in my denominator. All right, so now I'm going to add up all the numbers. Okay. All right, so we can see that that's clear. All right, so my first number is 1, and it appears once. 2 appears twice. 3 appears 3 times. 4 appears 4 times. 5 appears twice. 6 appears once. 7 appears once. 8 appears twice. 9 appears once. 10 appears once. So I'm adding all those up. Now I get 88. I divide that by 18. And then I get my mean, which is about 4.9. So on average, customers that night tipped $4.90. And we can sort of see in this graph, you know, where most of the dots are, and sort of in the middle, we're also going to get 4.9. Okay, now I'm going to show you how your calculator can sort of do all this work for you, which is sort of nice. If I were to go to stat, so that button right there, stat, as you can see, the A is disintegrating because I've hit it so many times. And then we're going to go to edit. And if you remember, this is actually the same way that we graphed dot plots. I mean, not dot plots, scatter plots at the beginning of the year. All right. So what I'm going to do now in L1, my list 1, I'm going to input all my values. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, and 10. And just a good way of checking, you can see it says L1 parentheses 18. That means this is the 18th item. So I did a good job counting however many numbers there were there. All right, then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to stat. Then I'm going to go over to calc, which is short for calculate, and then it's going to calculate my one variable statistic. The only variable here is the amount of tips I got in dollars. That's the only thing that's changing. So that's going to be a one variable statistic. So I'm going to press that. If you have a new one, it might tell you which list you want to choose. You don't have to put anything if it's all in list 1, if that's the only list you have. If you have a lot of lists, let's say you want to choose a different one. Let's see, I'll show you how you can choose list 1. You press second, and then if you go down, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all have L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and L6 above them. So I want list 1, so I'm going to choose 1. All right, and if you see at the top here, you've got an X with a little bar on top of it. X bar just means the mean or the average. So in this case, we can see that my X bar in this problem is 4.88 repeating, which is really just about 4.9. So the calculation I did initially was correct. Another interesting thing you can see here, if you look at n refers to the number of elements in the data set. So each one of these dots is considered an element. It's one of the tips. Each one of these represent a tip. This person tipped $1. They must have gotten some bad service, or they're just not the kind of person you want to have around. All right, this person tipped $10. 2 people tipped $8. So there are 18 customers in all, unless, well, actually, if they didn't tip, they would have had something on 0. So there was 18 customers in total that night, or 18 tables, because there could be multiple customers at a table. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how to do that. It's a cool thing you can do in your calculator. We'll be using some of this stuff a little bit later in the lesson as well. So if you have a graphing calculator, I would really recommend you use it for this lesson. All right, that's it.